Now, it is episode 27 of the Monaghan Way in association with Northern Sound and indeed myself, Sean McCaffrey. We've gotten ourselves out and about again. We've come over here to Clonus Town. We're just outside the beautiful settings here of the Peace Link. So we are, and our reason for doing that is because we have a very special guest to chat to today, a gentleman that has been involved in Premier League football, indeed has scored in the Premier League and obviously has worn the green jersey of Ireland as well. And tonight, we're going to be chatting to Jonathan Douglas, so we're going to head on down to the 4G pitch here and have a word with the man himself. Here we are, I've actually taken up our place here on the 4G pitch, soccer pitch, rather appropriate maybe for our guest, as I noted to you, Jonathan Douglas. And Jonathan, thanks a million taking time out to join us here on the Monaghan Way. And we picked this venue for the simple reason being, I noted to you as we were walking out here, the Peace Link. We're on a soccer pitch, there's a Gaelic pitch there, St Tiernack's Park is across the road, and I know JD Park is up and over the hill here as well. Within about 300-400 yards, the sporting facilities that's here in Clonus is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think over the last 15 years or so, it's really come on. Certainly didn't have anything like this when I was coming through as a young lad, so to see this, it's more or less full most nights of the week, either with soccer or Gaelic. So it's, as you say, it's a great facility.
That's leading us nicely into Jonathan Douglas growing up in Clonus and where your sporting life took you then as well. So all started here in the town?
It did, yeah. I started, I actually used to live up in O'Neill Park, and there was a little green bit there, so that's where it all started. That's where that's where you got a little bit hard, and that's where you were learning to toughen up against some of the older boys that, older brothers and cousins and stuff. So it all started in Clonus, played for obviously Clonus, the youth team. Unfortunately, back then the juvenile sort of, for a couple of years went away really. So myself and 4 other lads went down to Monaghan United with Paul Johnson and John Heffernan, and continued playing now.
Absolutely, and it was brilliant to have that, as you said, starting it off the street football here in Clonus, Monaghan United, and I know still there, developing once again, but first division team and even up in the Premier Division of the League of Ireland at that stage too, I would have been thinking in the early part of the 90s and when you as young lads were coming through.
Yeah, that's, I actually played for Monaghan in the first division. I think I was 15 years of age, so that was before I went over to Blackburn. So yeah, it's a great upbringing, but I really enjoyed playing for Clonus, and I'm really enjoying being back now, helping out as well.
Absolutely, and we will get to that. So we will, but take me back to those 90s and how it began for you, that journey that took you to Premier League, took you through the divisions across the water, took you to international caps and that as well. Probably slightly different from what we see now in the pathways that's there. Oh, was it?
No, but for me it was probably a lot of luck probably. I was playing for Monaghan United at the time. It could have been maybe on the 14s, 15s, and the Celtic scout came along, but he came along to look at another player that was playing for us at Monaghan. And lucky enough, I think I must have done well in that game, so they offered me to go over in Celtic on trial. So for your holidays, your Easter holidays, Halloween and stuff. We used to go over there and maybe spend a week, 10 days over there on trial. Unfortunately, that didn't work out with Celtic, but in that time, I'd played a friendly against Blackburn. Must have been probably under 16s. Must have done well, so Blackburn asked me to go over. So I went over there, and then I'd done really well over the 2 weeks, and they offered me a contract. So at 16 years of age, I packed the bags and left Clonus and went to Blackburn.
How daunting was that as a 16-year-old, or was it?
No, it was, it's, as a young lad, you think you're capable of going away and doing it, but, you're over there for, you're away from your family. You got to remember back then we didn't have any mobile phones, so it wasn't as easy to, get in contact with home, but, lucky I had a great group of people over there, a great group of mates who I'm still mates with now. There was four or five other Irish lads who, we gelled together really well, and the English lads would probably go home most weekends, but we'd all stay together, and we had a great bonding, and it was a great time. It was a great experience, and something that I'm very lucky that I've done.
I'm just thinking, like the 90s to us now, it doesn't seem that long back, 30 odd or years or so. But it is a lifetime in regards to where we find ourselves now. As you said, there's no social media, there was no mobile phones, there wouldn't have been the regular connection with back home. Maybe you'd be lucky to get making the phone call, and that's not making it really dramatic as to what things was like back then. Or?
No, definitely. We'd all have to queue. We had one phone at the top of the stairs, and we all had to queue up to ring home. That's the way it was back then. And I've got a 16-year-old daughter now who, trying to explain these sort of things to her, and she's looking at you like you're an alien or something. But that's the way it was. Or if even writing letters back then as well, receiving letters from the family and stuff. So it's it was changed times, but as I say, I probably wouldn't change it.
Absolutely. And the thing about it as well, it was a daunting thing because you could go over there and it may work out, and it did, thankfully for you. But for some, it didn't work out, and you sort of were coming back home again. And not saying that your education was put to one side, but there wasn't the same pathways, maybe even for education at that time. You were fully committed, or were you?
Oh no, you still had to do a 3-year course in a college over there.
Right,
that was part of the academy. So I did like carpentry and joinery for 3 years. I really enjoyed it because I enjoyed it at school. So there is stuff that, just in case it doesn't happen, I think a lot of clubs realise that.
Yeah.
I think it's only 0.01% of young lads who goes in their academy actually plays first team football. So it's a very small percentage. And I think clubs are aware of that. But it was, as I said, it's different. It was different back then as it is now, but it's, I was really lucky to, be involved. And I ruptured my cruciate actually for when I was 18 maybe. I was out for maybe a year or 10 months as well. So, you do have a lot of setbacks, but, there's a lot of ups as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know there's a lot of supports in place and everything else, obviously, to see you through them times. So as you noted, luck does play a part, and that's in any facet of life. Yeah. It'll always play its part. So you were over in Celtic, played against Blackburn. Blackburn picked up, and all of a sudden, here you are. I know they were first division, I think, maybe when you were there, and then come up to Premier League, was it?
Yeah, they were. No, maybe they were the Premier League, and I think we got relegated, but then we went straight back up
again.
That was under Graham Souness, I think, when we went back up. So obviously won the League Cup with them as well under Graham Souness. So it was a good time to be there. Great setup. Coaches were great, from 16s, 18s, 19s, even to the reserves. And I was very, very lucky to be able to go there and to basically learn your trade, and with a great bunch of lads as well. So it's there is a lot of luck. What have I said, before, and other people who've drilled it into me when I was younger. You need to be prepared. So when the luck does come, you're ready to go take it, and lucky enough I was.
What was it like to be in that sort of full-time professional role as a player with, as I said, a club that was Premier League at that time as well?
Yeah, it was. You probably don't realise until you've retired and stuff, and then you wake up one morning and you think, oh, what am I going to do now? Because everything's regimented. You get up at a certain time, you eat breakfast with the lads, you go and train, and then you have lunch, and then you have probably a gym session, and then you're away, and then it's repeat. You might have a game on a Saturday and a Tuesday as well. So it is great for you because you get into a zone and you just get into a little routine, and you probably you don't realise what you're doing until it's you've hung the boots up and you're looking in from the outside in, and you just realise how regimented it was, and you just I was happy that my time was ready to come. My body was getting sore, and I was taking whatever just to get through games and stuff. So but yeah, it's very regimented, and what to eat, when you can go out, what you basically from the small little details of you're coming in, you have to rehydrate, you have to take a urine test to see if you're ready to go training, and just certain things like that was just mind blowing. That for a young lad from Clonus to come from here to step into that was just incredible.
Absolutely. Prior to meeting up with you here, I'd throwing your name obviously into the internet. I can recall you at the time and all the talk about the Clonus lad that was over doing this across the water, and then going to see you actually playing for Ireland. But one of the ones that popped in, Blackburn against Fulham, your first goal for Blackburn, the volley. Yeah. Edwin van der Sar's in goals.
He is, yeah. It's ironic really, because that's I scored probably one and only goal in in the Premier League at that ground, and we've Barry McGuigan here in the town. He won his world title in the same ground, so it's went in full circle. But yeah, that was great, to be able to play in the Premier League. It's every young lad's dream to play there. So it's and the score was just a little bit of icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Andy Cole was scoring at the opposite
Cole,
end. Or no, he was scoring.
with
He
us,
was
yeah,
backwards.
yeah,
It was the opposite end of the field because you scored in
Yeah.
the second half. He'd scored the first half. when I was watching it,
I was lucky. We'd Andy Cole there. We'd young Jonathan Stead coming through, Paul Gallagher. Dwight York was probably there. Tugay was Turkish midfield player. We had an excellent squad, and playing under Graham Souness, so it was a great learning curve for me.
Absolutely. Household names at that time. What I loved about it was was the old school football. It was the baggy jumpers. It was none of the tight fit or anything like that. At that time.
Funny enough, I had a lock up in London that I had to empty last week, so I was over there emptying it, and I've got a few of my old jerseys, and you just look at them and you can see, as exactly what you said, the bagginess of them all, and you just think, like, there's no player fit back then. It was just, here you go.
There you
This
go.
is what you're wearing.
And away you went. No VAR, no goal line technology, and I would argue no rolling about, no theatrics either. It was get on with it, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was get on with it, yeah, and you soon learn that you do. Once you stepped up to the first team, you did have to get on with it. As I mentioned there, I was out for 10 months of the cruise ship. I remember my first training session with the first team. We had a skipper at the time, Gary Flickcroft, hard lad. First ball that came into me, he just, sent me up in the air.
Tested you.
Tested me, and he just came over and he said, well, if you can withstand that, you're doing all right, get up. So away I went, and there was no rolling around or anything, because they would pull you up on it and they'd just get on with it, and that's just the way it was.
Absolutely. I know your journey took you through to Leeds then as well, and a fair good career there. And Brentford, it's amazing. These are teams now that are in the Premier League now, so they are the bees flying under, in fairness. Keith Andrews again. And again, just learning all the time, I suppose, and expanding the career.
Yeah, it was just, at the very start, it was just like, I wouldn't say old school, but it was old school training and stuff like that. And, as the more the career went on, the more data came into it, the more, you had to look after yourself more off the field, what you're put into your body, and just like trying to prolong your career really. And, you'd have sleep coaches coming in and, different things like that there. So it is progressed like massively from when I started, and it's, it is, you can see them now, they're just pure athletes now. They're just machines, and Premier League, I think a lot of people are giving out that it's probably not the same sort of quality it was years ago, but in terms of like the pace of it all, it's just, it's just a different world.
I was just going to say that, and there's no slight on the era that you played in. More athletic now, maybe more machine built, more robotic in what they do, or are they?
Probably, yeah, you could be right. I just think they're more. I just think they're more athletic. They're they're bigger, stronger, quicker. Than when I was coming through. I'm sure the stats will probably back that up. You look at the old Premier League games now, and it's a lot of guts and thunder, and there's there is obviously quality in them. You still got Gerrard and Scholes and Keane and all players like that. They are playing who could play in this era, but I just think in terms of pure pace and just the tempo of the game has just gone to another level.
Would you have seen that progression from when you'd first entered in as a young teenager to when you were exiting at the far end?
Not so much, because I'm in it, you know what I mean, and I didn't really see it, because I think that I'm good enough to continue playing, and I think that I was fit, and I was never any quick anyway, so I wasn't going to lose any pace. So it was just that now that you take a little backward step, and then you watch it on TV, you just think it's just a different level now.
Absolutely. Midfield was normally your role, was it?
Yeah, I did. I had a few stints.
Battlefield.
Yeah, I had a few stints at right back who didn't last too long, thankfully. But yeah, more or less in centre midfield.
And it's something I've learned, my own young lad involved in the soccer, different to Gaelic, in that as a Gaelic player you can be maybe put in different areas in the field and you can adapt. Soccer slightly different is that if you're in a role, you're in that role. As you said, you went back to right back and weren't comfortable maybe in it, or didn't suit your physique or the way you played the game. It was more to be in the middle. I was just too slow.
I was just too slow to be right back. So
yeah, but that's and you make it away with that. I said in a Gaelic field of being in a different positions, but soccer's different in that you have to be in a position, firstly, I'd say that you're comfortable with, but that you can adapt to, or that you're suited to.
Yeah, definitely. And even I know they do numbers now, where back in our day it was you centre midfield or your box to box, where 6 and 8s and 10s now. So
Yeah.
I was probably, for the majority of my start of my career, I was probably like a 6, like a sitting midfielder. But then as I got a little bit older, and especially when I went to Brentford, I was playing in an 8, so it was more like getting into the box, which probably suited me a little bit better, and I probably wish that I did that a little bit earlier. But yeah, even as you say there, even like in that sort of midfield role, you have 2 different positions, maybe 3 as a 10, but you still have to be adaptable, and you still have to know the role. Like as a 6, you have to, like Rodri, doesn't really go forward, but what he does is exceptional. You know what I mean? That's why he got the best player in Europe at one stage. So you just have to. At the end of the day, you have to be. The manager has to trust you. He has to throw you in, make sure that he knows that you're going to give him the best, and you're not going to deviate away from his plan or whatever, and cause problems for the back four or whatever. But yeah, you're right. I was centre midfield for the majority of my career.
And would it have been a manager that would have noted that with you, Jonathan? I think it was Graham Souness, was it, that sort of worked you was at the left of midfield and brought you in from that end?
He played, because I think he played me there because he knew I was probably an honest, hard-working player, and we were in a relegation battle back then. So I think he just had boys that were going to give him everything. Like, he ain't the left winger, he ain't going to beat anybody. So he knew that I could do a job, and I was dependable, and that's probably why he stuck me in now.
Absolutely, and that worked under him. And then you could come to a different manager, and you would have worked under a different manager, and they probably could see a different role for you, or could say, we need something different for you. So you were adapting to what the manager would be needing, I suppose.
Oh yeah, definitely. As I said, I was a 6 mainly when I was at probably Leeds, probably a little bit box to box with Sean Derry there, but that's definitely with Brentford. I went to more a player that was getting in the box, trying to get in the end of crosses, scored the old goal here and there, and that was probably Uwe Rosler, who probably seen that and thought, no, we could benefit from him getting in the box.
And again, it comes back to that element of luck, the luck of having a manager that will call you into his team firstly, place the trust in you, and know what he can get out of you.
Yeah, because the manager's job is very, very small, isn't it? There's not much room for error. So he needs, as I said, to be able to trust his players to go in there and, as I say, not deviate away from his plan, or basically put his job in jeopardy. So it is. That's what it is. It's about the trust, and it's about working hard basically at the end of the day, and knowing that when you come off that pitch, you mightn't be good on the ball, but you can get off it, and you can still run and tackle and put in a good shift.
Absolutely, and that does be a big part of playing nowadays. It's what's done off the ball as much as what's done on the ball, and there's always an argument between Ronaldo and Messi, I take it, as to who's the best player, and I've had the pleasure of seeing both, and to me, Messi does all his work off the ball, where Ronaldo is the man that does it all on the ball whenever you watch them.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a Messi man too. Yeah, you're right. I think Messi's probably more of a team player than Ronaldo. Ronaldo's all, I don't know him, I don't know him personally, but I think he's all about individual stuff, whereas I think Messi, if you see Messi, he's going through 1v1, he's just laying it off to teammates, and he's an exceptional player, unbelievable. I've never seen Maradona or anybody live, so I can't really compare, but in my era, probably Messi's probably up there.
The key of them. I wasn't moving this into a Messi-Ronaldo debate, but I'm just saying, have you ever crossed paths with them?
We played against actually Man United, and Ronaldo, thankfully, was on the bench, so he didn't come on. That was for Blackburn. We actually beat them at Ewood Park, so no, he didn't come on, which is probably a good sign.
Was a blessing maybe at that
time,
because
I was on the left, so he would have come on to the right, so I was thinking, no, you're alright where you are.
And that was the era of United, when they were in their palm at that time as well, so it was on the first.
Yeah, it was, that was actually the year Arsenal went undefeated, remember?
That's right, yeah.
So they won the league. Played against them, they beat us as well, but they had an exceptional team then. They were just, as athletes, big, strong, Nick Patavieres in the midfield, and Edu as well. So it's they were an incredible squad back then.
You're just tripping these names off the tongue, these teams off your tongue, Jonathan. now is a time when you'd reflect back. At that time, that you were taking that as the norm. You're a professional footballer. The expectation is to be going to these grounds and playing against these. It would have been Highbury at that time then as well. So it would have been obviously Old Trafford, Anfield, and you were arriving at these grounds, going out playing professional football. Now when you've stepped back from it all, does there ever be an occasion where you suddenly go, like, wow, to yourself?
Not so much. I'm not really one to try and do that. You know what I mean? I've just been very lucky and very fortunate to do what I was able to do. There is moments probably when you watch TV or, you know, as I said about the jerseys, you've got the bag of jerseys where I've swapped with, you know, some players, and you look and you think, well, you know, I've had a pretty decent career, so I was pretty lucky. And you probably just look back at it probably now and again, but I'm not one to just, you know, say, oh, did this, did that, because, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't merely important. I'm back here now in Clonus and really enjoying what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. You talked about management. I know you're managing the local soccer team.
For me sins.
How are you finding that?
It's good, yeah. I've got a good bunch of lads. I'm really enjoying it. It's my first year back home, really. So, it's once I get everybody, once the Gaelic's over now for a while, so I'll probably get a better, bigger squad and more lads to choose from. And but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's, as I said, they're a great bunch.
It's a full circle from playing on the wee green, down to Monaghan United, having the career, and then coming back, and the facilities that's up there now as well.
Really good. 2 good pitches up there now.
Yeah.
And the facility we have here now, so if it is too wet, then, you know, we have here that to call upon. But the young one nowadays don't really know how lucky they are. You know, as I said, we mentioned the green. That's where more or less all our football was done, between it, you know, all the estates and all that. There, we'd have little mini tournaments and stuff. So, it's very lucky.
Are they the team, the younger members? Are they mindful? Are they aware of the career that you had? I know you're not going to be prevaricating it to them. You're not, but would they be aware of where you'd be?
They probably are. If you know, most of the coaches I would have grown up with, they're probably all more or less all got kids now. They'd be all mates of mine anyway, and they'd be probably telling their, you know, kids and all that there. But I do enjoy coming in. You know, I've helped out with some of the younger ones, maybe the under 12s and 14s last year a little bit, just to come in and take sessions. And you know, I really enjoyed that as well. But I'm not too sure they're that bothered, to be honest.
You mentioned just about the jerseys, the bag of jerseys there. Is there any particular jersey that you've swapped, you've held on to? Would there be any? I'm just thinking, there's frame that's up on the wall and you go, wow, to have that one.
To be fair, I don't have them framed, but I've probably Claude Makalele's, Patrick Vieira's. I've actually a Fulham one, and Damien Duff is probably that's probably my prized possession, because good mates with Duffer and get on really well with him, and it was good to play against him and to swap jerseys with him.
Absolutely, and that leads us nicely then into, maybe we'll take a seat for ourselves, we'll sit down, because I want to move into the Irish career now.
Okay, no problem.
Now, I've actually moved into the sanctuary of just one of the dugouts here on the 3G pitch where we had been. And Duffer, you mentioned him there, not only playing against him, having the jersey, but you would have played with him then as well on the Irish squad.
Yeah, I was fortunate to play with him in Ireland. I played him a couple of times and maybe a couple of cup games at Blackburn before he signed for Chelsea. I've got on really well with him. He was maybe about 3 years older than me when I first went over to Blackburn. So I think he's one of the best that's ever played for Ireland. He's definitely the best left winger that's ever played for Ireland, and he's had one hell of a career. Yeah,
and again, one of those players, if you're on the outside looking in, you'd be thinking, there's nothing spectacular about Damien Duff, but it was just the graft, it was the hard work, it was the honesty that he gave you.
Yeah, he gave that, but he also had a little bit of flair. I think the 2002 World Cup, I probably think that he was probably the best left winger in the world back then. I remember him playing against, I think it was Puyol maybe at Spain in one of those games, and he gave him a torrid time, and then he moved, I think it was probably for 18 million. He worked really hard, and I've seen him working hard, and you just off the field as well, he knew what to eat, and drinking wise, fluids he was taking in on board, and he's somebody, especially for me, looking at him and seeing how he done it. It's you definitely go away taking a little bit off him and bringing it into your own game.
Absolutely, yeah, a brilliant role model, obviously. And coming into the Irish squad then, what was that like?
It was mad. I was called into I think Poland probably away. It was my first trip away with them. Brian Kerr was my manager at the time, and I was lucky enough to play in the squad for the under-16s that won the Euros that time under him. Great man. A lot of respect for him. But yeah, you're going in and you're obviously Duffy was there, Robbie Keane was there, Richard Dunn was there, John O'Shea. These are boys that you've watched for years playing for Ireland and sport in Ireland, and to be in this the same dressing room and same training ground and stuff was it was mental.
And what was the welcome like coming in? Because you'd still have been a fairly relatively young player coming into that squad, again, of lads that had come through several hard knocks as well. I'm just thinking Saipan had come and went at that time, and there was a lot of coming and going within the Irish squad, and yet these guys were there and flying the flag.
The welcome was great because I think it's made it a little bit easier, maybe because I'd played under Brian Kerr before and I'd played with John O'Shea before, and I said obviously Duffer was there. So yeah, that we're all in there to do one thing, and that's to help Ireland to win games and to work really hard, and like there was no big egos or anything like that there. At the end of the day, we're all just a group of Irish lads who want to play for Ireland, want to play for the country, and want to do really well.
The gaffer come in after that, then Steve Staunton, and again would have featured fairly regularly under him.
I did, yeah. I played a few games under him. Again, I'd worked with him. He was our assistant at Leeds at the time under Gary McAllister. Another lad who, I was a Liverpool fan and obviously played for Liverpool, and another man who I respect and still respect, to see him the odd time here and there, down through the years, and another one I had a lot of time for, but he probably got a raw deal, if I'm totally honest with you. He didn't get the respect that he deserved, and it was unfortunate the way it went for him. But he's it was great to to play under him.
Yeah, there was a lot of coming and going in that time, in fairness, both within, I suppose, the panel, within the Irish setup, and outside of it as well, on the governance end and the administrative end of it and that too. And did you get caught up on that? Were you aware of all the comings and goings, or again, you weren't doing one thing, putting a jersey on and playing?
Yeah, not really. You just, as you say, we're probably in there for a week, 10 days, so you're probably just dipping in and out, really. You're coming in, you're training, you're doing games, and then you're going back to England, where it's you can forget about it all, really. Sometimes you do feel it, but other times not really, because at the end of the day, you're just going in to try and do your best. And
you talk about that coming into these camps, which would be maybe a week, 2 weeks, depending on the build-up to a certain game and stuff like that. And you'd be coming in, some of the players you'd be familiar with, but then there'd be other players that would be added into it as well. How difficult would it be even just to come together as a group and maybe to be putting plans in place and tactics in place? Like, people don't appreciate at international level, for a manager in particular, you're working in a very small window all the time.
You are, and majority of the time you've probably have to bring in 2 or 3 new players, maybe, through injuries with the club. It is a tough job. You can't, there's tactics. There's only so much you can do in the space of, say Ireland are in there for a week now and have 2 games within the week. There's not really much time to do anything in a training pitch. So it is tough for an international manager, and it's a job that I probably wouldn't like to do myself, to be honest. Club managers, they're there every day with the players. They they can work in tactics, they can do this and that, whereas I think as you say, the window's very small for an international manager.
Your time with Ireland took you to Croke Park, interestingly enough. We know you have a strong GAA background. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but do you ever think it would actually be the soccer you'd be playing at Croke Park?
No, definitely not. As a kid growing up here in Clonus, it's back then it was soccer, but I was always loved Gaelic as well. Loved watching Monaghan, Kieran Murray. Loved Kieran Murray growing up. So to play in Croke Park was a dream for me. Never thought I'd be for a soccer team, but probably growing up I thought it maybe been for Monaghan, but I was very, very lucky.
Absolutely, and that was the time that the Lansdowne was being developed, and obviously, and that was a big historic occasion at that time as well, that Croke Park had been opened up to welcome in. At that time it was talked about the foreign game, and that's what it was. Like, people never thought or visited to see the day that soccer would be played, because even up until the present day, you still technically can't play soccer on a Gaelic field without the permission coming from Croke Park or from headquarters?
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, the foreign game, I've heard that for the last 30 odd years. Coming home, you still playing that foreign game, but yeah, I think it was the first soccer game in over 100 years on a Gaelic field. So yeah, great honour, great privilege, and play in front of 82,000 people. It was incredible.
And you did, as you say, have the Gaelic background. Were you part of a Monaghan minor team actually?
Yeah, I played. That was probably my last game of Gaelic was for Monaghan minors. Before I went over, I was 16. We played in Celtic Park up in Derry. I think it was a double header to beat the seniors on after that as well, but that result didn't go well. But yeah, I played Monaghan as well, and I love my Gaelic.
A big pull at that time, probably between the Gaelic and the soccer. Obviously, if you knew the soccer was going to take you where it was taking you, that was going to be professional, that was going to be a career, that was going to make you money. No point saying any different. But the love of the GA as well. I take it there was big decisions being made, or was there? Maybe it was simple enough, was it?
No, it wasn't simple because I loved Gaelic, and back then I was just thinking, like I can give soccer a go I'd sign a 3-year contract with Blackburn. I'll give it a go for 3 years. If it doesn't work out, I can come back and play Gaelic. That's the way I was looking at it. Didn't expect to take the journey that I did take. Didn't expect to do some of the stuff that I did do. I always had Gaelic in the background to come back to. Maybe, I don't know, go to America or Australia and probably travel and play Gaelic back over there. So it was tough because I was probably leaving all my mates as well, who's all in the Gaelic squad, and at 16, like my daughter's 16, and I dread to think her moving away at this age. So it was definitely a difficult decision.
At that time, it's amazing. You've come back and you're lacing up the Gaelic boots here, playing for Clonus here.
Yeah. We've got. I was at the Junior Bs last year, training with the seniors as well. Just we all train together, so it's I'm more of a. I don't like the gym. I don't really like running the roads on my own. I'm used to like a team environment, keeping fit that way. So it's a great way just to keep me fit and just to keep the head right, really.
And All Ireland titles claimed as well at Masters level in London too.
That's right. Yeah, 2 at London. Again, it was great when I was over there. Got involved through a friend of the show, Desi Moan's brother Connor. He texted me one time, asked me did I fancy it, and just went over for a couple of training sessions. Really enjoyed it, and as I say, they're a good bunch of lads who just want to keep fit and play a bit of Gaelic. Absolutely.
So what a turnaround to go do the career that you were doing, to come back and to get a chance to be playing then St. Shannon's Park across the road then here as well. We know it is obviously the home of Ulster football, the home of Monaghan football, and the home of Clonus here too.
It is, yeah, and as I'm glad you said it's the home of Ulster, because it is. We have the gym over there, and some days you asked me earlier on about the pinch me moments, and it might sound a bit stupid or anything, but I'm in the gym and I'm gymming my own sometimes, and you look out and it's just St. Shannon's Park there. And for me growing up, that was just a mecca, like, it was to play there. And we get to train on it the odd time when the chairman James Cairns allows us, which is not very often, but whenever we do play there or get to train there, it's just the pitch is exceptional, and you just think about the the people that went and played in that pitch, and sometimes you change in the old dressing rooms, obviously before the stand, and you just think back of the the old players that used to get changed in there, and it's just it's incredible.
I was just going to say that. And listen, everybody had said about their own county ground and the history and all associated with it. Even today, when I was coming up past, there's just something about passing that ground and trying to peep in. There's a wee opportunity where you can look across and just see down into the... And you do it. Every time you go by, you do it. You have to get a look.
Definitely, yeah. It's great, and we're lucky now that we have the gym there, so we can go in and use the gym as well. So you get to see it, but it's definitely a great place.
A lot of history coming off them terraces. Yourself at the moment now, obviously the Gaelic, you have that, but from the soccer perspective, still heavily involved. You were telling me you're a scout or an agent now
for a championship team, and so I work do their scouting recruitment. So yeah, really enjoying that. I've done that now for the last maybe 2.5, 3 years. Gives me an opportunity to go out to Europe and watch games and visit different grounds and different cities, and it's I'm very lucky to be doing it.
And what does that involve? Going just looking at players and seeing what they have, what they don't have.
My job is I'd already know who I'm going to watch. Everything's done through. It's gone through the data, filtering system, and then it's gone through 3 or 4 different scouts watching this player. And it's a company called Y Scout where you can watch most games on your laptop and stuff. And then if the majority say yes, then it's there'll be a live viewing, and that'll either send me or another scout out to watch them, and then it's goes on to the next process, and it just filters on down until we say basically yes or no and whether we go and get them.
And a lot of it, as you said, is data-based now. And again, I'm thinking back to when you'd started out your career. It probably was a page and somebody maybe writing a few wee notes down and stuff like that, to where you find yourself today. It's very scientific now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's definitely data. There's a lot of data involved in it, which is good because it filters out, stuff that players that might not suit the way you play. It's, the style of play. But then you still need your eyes on, really. You still need to make sure that everything matches up, and basically it's more like what's his character like when he's playing and off the field, and what's his warm-up like, different stuff like that there. Because when you're spending millions on players, you need to get it right. You can't be wasting money. So it is tough. It's enjoyable, but it's tough to get the right player. Not everybody gets it right. I think Brighton are probably the best at it, but they're only 49% they get them right, maybe just over 50. From all they're saying is they've got right, so it is tough.
As you say, it's a big money game now as well. Like at the time was maybe it was thousands and hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Now you're talking millions upon millions.
Yeah.
For anyone even maybe just putting the name to a piece of paper. And that brings added pressure, not only on you as to make sure you're getting the right player, but even the player themselves. That has to play in some way on them, I would have thought too. The expectation that must be on them.
That would, I know a lot of players come out and say, "Oh, we don't read this, we don't read that," but they do. You know what I mean? They do read it, and I'm sure it is. It's still young lads, still boys that need to come into. We spoke, before this came on about, different leagues and the physicality of different leagues, and it's going to take boys a lot of time. You see, like Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, both at Chelsea, both left Chelsea, came back, and probably 2 of the best people that ever played in the Premier League. So it's just getting the timing right, and young lads coming in and gelling and getting used to the physicality of the Premier League, because it is a different beast to anything else.
Absolutely, and it's the development, as you noted, of the player. Would you have noted, or maybe it's a secret within the trade, is there any particular country or association that's developing, that has the best development when it comes to players? I know we hear a lot about Holland, in fairness, I suppose, and the Dutch and their academies that they have in that.
I think I read somewhere where Benfica is probably the best for producing.
Right.
I think for their total whatever they earn from academy players, I think that's probably the highest in Europe. If I'm not mistaken, I think Benfica is definitely up there. So whatever they're doing, I think they're getting just some young lads from South America and places like that there, and giving them first team football, which is very important, and seeing if they can handle it. A lot of clubs in England, there's a lot of young lads maybe playing B leagues or under 21s or under 19s that aren't really getting the opportunity to play a first team. You throw them into a first team environment inside, or into the Championship on loan or League One. It's like, can you handle it? I mean, technically, obviously they can handle it. They wouldn't be at those clubs, but physically can they handle it? Because it is different playing. I don't want to say the term, men's football, but it is totally different to like academy football. And I think that's why a lot of the young, probably that's why the League of Ireland here has probably got a little bit better, because young lads aren't going over to England. They're staying. They're getting men's football. They're development well, and hopefully in a couple of years' time, Ireland will benefit from that.
Absolutely. It's interesting, just you touched on that about the League of Ireland and the quality of football, how it has risen in the past number of years. Obviously, we have a couple of teams now competing that are out in Europe.
Yeah.
You've a league that's coming down nearly to the last day to be decided. I know Shamrock Rovers have completed this year, they've done the double, but pushed to the pin of their collar to do that, in fairness as well. And as you said, you don't have the raiding of players. At a time, it would have been that there's a clutch of players was took, and they didn't get a chance to develop here on our shores before going over. Now it's the opposite way. They're nearly been sent from there over to here to get a ground in good senior football before being taken back.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like back when I was going, it was clubs were probably taking 6 or 7 lads over hoping to get one. And I'm not saying not really bothered, but like if 5 or 6 don't, they'll just go back to Ireland. Whereas now they have to be like Mason Melia, Conor Spores, exceptional player. A couple of young lads went to Germany. A young Moorboy from Cork. There's actually a young Sherlock lad.
That's right. 17 panel
yeah,
at the minute, yeah.
From Cavan, young Mullen lad from Cavan as well, who's he's in Italy at the moment playing. So there is a good core of young lads coming over. But as you say there's not the busload of young boys going over. They're staying in Ireland. They're getting just as good training. Probably not getting it 5-6 days a week like they would in England, but you're still getting it like 3 or 4 days a week. Getting good coaches with in good academies up, so it will benefit the League of Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of changes from when you first kicked the ball to where your career took you to where you are now. On reflection back, is there anything you would have done different, or is there anything that at the time you thought, if that had went this way or that had went that way? Or
not really, because it's just I knew that. When I retired, I knew that I'd give everything. I knew that there wasn't there's days there where you can't be bothered, or there's days there where you don't feel good. You're probably carrying injury, but you still give everything. And I think probably most managers and most players that I've played with could if you ever asked them, probably that's what they'd say. He'd always give 100%, and I think I take that in now into whatever I'm doing now with the recruitment and stuff. You always have to give everything, because it's your job at the end of the day, and it's you want to be looked upon as somebody who's reliable and dependable, and I think work-wise and all that there I was.
Well, there you go. My thanks to Jonathan Douglas. An absolutely fascinating story. As I say, maybe we underrated him at a time whenever he was going out and playing Premier League football, playing for his country, and travelling the length and breadth, not only, I suppose, of England, but of Europe as well, and representing his local hometown here of Clones. Don't forget, you can check out plenty more of our podcasts here on the Monaghan Way on any of the platforms that you pick up on.